I'm speaking for the human race now, and every day now it's seeing the same things now.
Hello, I'm Laura Magdalene Eisenhower.
And I'm Madison Truesdell.
And we are the JusticeTwins. So many topics to discuss all the time about what's going on our planet. In a lot of ways, there's a lot of warnings that we are sharing with people, and we are all about practical solutions and taking action. Today we are talking about dark technologies and the power of Mother Earth. It's a topic that could actually go on for hours. There's so much to it. As we know, we're energetic beings and we're constantly emitting energy into our environment, and we're basically free energy. We're the most advanced technology even, and we're just haven't quite realized that yet. And as we are free energy, this energy of ours has been used against us, and it's been used against us for a long time. And basically the way it's used against us is through, programming, social engineering, and, conditioning. Also dark technologies that have been affecting the Earth grids and also our DNA pretty much for 26,000 years or so. There's a technology specifically called the Nephilim reversal grid that makes it very difficult for the masculine and feminine to come back together, and makes it very difficult for us to upgrade our DNA. And so that's one example of one dark technology. And when we think about the power of Mother Earth, the power is also connected with us because we're intertwined with nature and Mother Earth. That is who we truly are, and our divine blueprint that exists within us is all about that. And we're an ascending planet. There's natural stargates on this planet, and the stargates on this planet connect with our DNA. And so there are many dark technologies that are trying to keep us from connecting with this so that the ascension doesn't happen. Hi, Madison.
Hi, Laura. Thanks for opening up for us. I'm really excited you brought up the stargates, and especially because I feel like bringing the self-control of our awareness into our day-to-day routines can help us to start connecting more with these energies rather than the mass media and all the manipulation that's going on. Would you say it's more of like everything all the dark technologies are doing is a war on our mental states, and how are ways that we can like with our day-to-day lives connect with these natural stargates and connect with the more organic phenomenon that's happening on this planet?
Well, that's a really, good thought. I mean, number one, we're dealing with weather modification, and I think everybody at this point, well, not everybody, has noticed that something's going on when you look up at the sky. I mean, nobody can really deny that there isn't spraying going on. And basically, chemtrails and HARP are used to control nature. It utilizes the free energy of us and nature and uses it as a weapon against us. Our mental body, though, is capable of clearing it, but our minds are under attack, and it's very difficult in this day and age right now to heal, and so we have to understand that we're under attack. There's a lot of people who have had abductions. There's a lot of people that may be implanted. There's a lot of people that are targeted to target other people, and pretty much the level of attack is extreme. One practical thing we need to do is all check and see if we have implants, because we don't want to be mind controlled. And this is what's really going to stop these technologies and these agendas from succeeding, is if we recognize where we're vulnerable and we work real hard at not being the weapon that they'd like us to be. So check yourself, make sure that you don't have any implants, and also, really understand, how energy works, because if we can redirect all the energy that has been taken from us, call it back to ourselves, and have focused intentions, and really focus on what our dreams are, and utilize our voice and our manifestation tools to bring it into reality, we really might be okay.
What you're saying about figuring out what our dreams are, a lot of what these technologies are doing is to keep us at not even just arm's length, like completely so far away that it's crazy length from our dreams, because humans have an incredible creative power. They have the abilities to affect multi-dimensions, even if their awareness is limited to one dimension. And the more that we can really liberate ourselves with our own creative powers and block ourselves and come together as a team to put an end to all of this. That's why it matters on an individual basis, because we're all sitting here striving to create our dreams, to be more creative, to really branch out in the world. Yet until we can liberate ourselves from these dark technologies, the chemtrail sprayings, and the poison in the water, all of us are going to just be staying in sort of mental chains with shackles on our potential. And humans have, like, as Laura will talk about, are aligned with the natural stargate, so they have the ability to ascend into higher dimensions. And it's really, 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 really important that we all get involved and really put an end to the dark technologies that are being used to manipulate our organic beings and bodies.
And it's amazing to think that these powerful technologies have also been put in place thousands of years ago, on top of the fact that with the chemtrails and the nanoparticles, it's making us even more vulnerable to being controlled and being, immersed in this artificial intelligence system and new world order. The Nephilim reversal grid is actually an inorganic alien machinery, and it has created incredible destruction to the soul matrix. I talked about how it affects the DNA and the male and female genetic equals from being able to come into alignment. Its sole agenda is to remove sacred union and the union of equals, and it's a potential for the majority of the human race to achieve this. And that's why they use technology, because they don't have a connection with spirit or source anymore, and so the life cycle is dependent on these technologies, and so it's kind of like an artificial immortality. And abductions have a lot to do with getting their genetic material to restore their races, but they still die out at a certain point in time and have to sort of utilize these technologies to make us a part of their life cycle, to supply them with what they've lost because they've lost connection to spirit. And that's basically vampiric technology. It's dark vampiric energy vampirism, and it's something we need to understand so that we can see where we might be connected to it, because if we can all take that individual step, then we're going to be able to override everything else that they're doing, and even that can dismantle things like HARP.
That's brilliant, Laura. Where do you feel the human race is coming from in an energetic standpoint? We talk about the Anunnaki and them having all this technology to interfere. Why would they be so set on interfering with us and grabbing hold of our DNA instead of just being who they are? What is so special about the humans?
Well, the humans, we used to be higher dimensional beings, and we all fell in consciousness, and we had incredible DNA. And when Tara fell into Eartha, basically when dimensions 4, 5, and 6 fell in consciousness and actually collapsed into dimensions 1, 2, and 3, this planetary body, became something different than anything we've seen in the cosmos, because immediately the goddess energy morphed into the physical planet in order to help us to find our way after all these galactic wars and after all this hybridization and after all this, genetic tampering. Well, it still continued when the Anunnaki came, and we've been vulnerable because when we fell into a third density, we were now like functioning as root races, and it was more about sharing our DNA codes over the course of time. I think I talked a little bit about that in the last show, but it links naturally with the Stargates. So the whole idea was that it would happen over the course of time, and so in a time matrix, that was the benefit of having time, to learn the lessons of duality and to understand that we chose the tree of knowledge, and that we're dealing with, seeing the polarity of light and dark play out, good and evil. Well, we have free will choices to decide what we're going to align with, and this planetary body is showing us and teaching us about who we are as spirit. So it kind of goes back to how we can really heal ourselves. And why are they like this? Well, we're in a free will universe, and they wanted, to have control. It has a lot to do with the Lucifer rebellion and the creation of the negative ego, and we inherited that. And basically the Anunnaki and the Luciferian faction of the Anunnaki created hybrids to keep these agendas, going, and that's why they protect the 13 families and they have extraordinary DNA. They have the reptilian DNA and what's called Orifim DNA, which is a higher consciousness. And so the reptilians are trying to keep them locked into the lower DNA through trauma-based mind control. And basically, they want us to be completely and totally under their control. And it connects to Lucifer. I mean, it's difficult to bring the archetypes in because then it gets kind of biblical. You know, people start to think about religion and start to think about, you know, spirituality. But there were quite a number of spiritual, rebellions with Lucifer. And it compromised our ability to really be on a spiritual path because the technologies are a part of the rebellion, and same with negative ET races that sort of are under the control of those agendas that originated with the whole concept behind his rebellion, which is basically to usurp the creator God, the supreme God, and be in charge of, you know, humanity and control humanity. So what are your thoughts? I know it gets kind of all over the board, and this is part of like the path of, or the mission of connecting dots, but it's an interesting thing in a free will universe, and I think that part of it really kind of hits the point home of why we're just experiencing all of this.
And I think everything you're sharing about how it's been such a multi-millennial mission to control the human race, we've got to give ourselves a little more credit for how powerful we are and start taking more responsibility for our actions and our collective consciousness. Because if this is such an intense mission for someone, then it's because our power and our potential is so huge, and it is connected with the Genesis story and the Lucifer rebellion, and you know, maybe humans are the ones that are meant to rise up and really put an end to this crazy Lucifer satanic energy that's here on the planet, which we all need to distort on a day-to-day basis. Though, what's a way that we're going to be able to really start using, like even when you wake up in the morning, what's something you can do to help keep yourself? And I know both of us are still susceptible to this kind of technology. We talk about it on a regular basis where we're feeling like something going on, or that, you know, being manipulated or having all these things happen. I mean, there's a level of being able to build up strength to that, though, so that you know, you're aware when it's happening, rather than just being basically a little lamb that just experiences it without knowing quite its source, or if it's coming from without or outside or within. What are some ways that people, like tools that people can utilize in order to really help themselves strengthen and be more aware of when something is mind control or manipulation versus coming from a true organic source?
I think it's really important that people pay attention to the way they're treating each other and the way one is treating the self. I mean, this is really where the mind control comes in. If we are not taking good care of ourselves, if we are not getting along with others, and we are operating from a programming, you know, a lot of aggression can come out. There's all sorts of programmings connected to sexual energy that can influence us to use it in a way that is very damaging to the planet, actually. So I think, you know, when we wake up in the morning, we have to pay attention to what our thoughts are, what our intentions are, the health of how we're connecting with the people in our lives and ourselves, and, you know, really look at things from a moment-to-moment basis. You know, everything to me is from the minute we wake up to the minute we fall asleep. And that is how we can heal, is to pay attention and be conscious in every single moment. We need to understand that the most nutrient-rich energy one can give themselves is their own personal sun. When I say their own personal sun, I mean meaning one's own divine essence. It's allowing it to come into the body and to integrate it into the body. It's always available like a resource, and that's our connection to our higher self and source. And it wants to come into our body, and sometimes we just don't bring it in and it just hangs above our head, or when it comes in, we give it away to somebody else. And when we're dealing with things like, you know, Anunnaki and people that are being mind controlled, they're actually being cut off, and that's why it's about feeding on others. I mean, it's so ancient in the galactic, in our galactic history. It's too much to get into in this show. We'll talk about it in other shows. But we have to understand that the light of spirit that radiates from within, which connects to the core sun within the earth and the grand central sun of the cosmos, is what our own personal suns are made of. And it generates warmth, vitamins, balance, peace, and vitality. And when one is conscious of it, it draws back any of its life force that has been siphoned away and used against us. The only true spiritual discipline, I feel, is paying attention to this. And one can tell when their energy is being drained, and one can tell when energy is expanding. One can tell when energy is constricting. We need to be sensitive enough to monitor all this and keep it in check and stop ourselves and work our energy if we need to, prevent something from getting exacerbated or getting any worse. Nutrition's extremely important, and that's, to me, secondary. And tell us, a little, you do a lot of yoga, and, give us some practical hints about some of the body work, we can do and what you've, gained. I used to do yoga, but I'm really inspired to, get back into it again because of you.
Well, thank you, Laura, for opening up that part of the discussion. Yoga essentially mimics nature, from what I've been told and reading and studying about, and all the poses you can see it, that they mimic nature. They mimic different animals in nature. They different movements that nature is doing in general. Tree pose, for example, crow pose. There's all these different ways that the more we connect, and yoga is something that you can do throughout your entire life, which is really powerful about it. It doesn't create strain on the body. It actually helps restore and heal and realign our natural, the key flowing through our body, which is the source of our healing. And I believe that's our inner sun flowing out through our body. And so when we practice this with the consciousness of bringing our inner sun out, or flowing that through our body and that wellness energy, we can... People always talk about getting the mental benefits of yoga as well as the physical, and the more that you focus on channeling that. It's called Reiki by a lot of people as well, but that energy source, you don't necessarily need to be attuned by somebody else in order to feel it. You can just let it flow out through your body naturally, and yoga is a really way to get that energy flowing. And I would highly recommend, you can Google just slow movements, or few movements, or a sequence online. It's free. And just really not seeing it as something that's, oh my gosh, this is trendy, this is so cool right now. It's a super ancient art. Modern day people say it's been around 7,000 years. I would say it's been around millions, billions since the beginning of time that we had bodies. So thanks for bringing that up, Laura. And everything you shared was fantastic. I really encourage people to really set an intention of treating people with more respect. I know it's not always easy. It just takes step by step, and we all have our downfalls and falling back on, just coming from a reactionary or triggering mindset rather than unconditional love. But I love everything you shared, Laura, and I'm very inspired by it, and going to start working towards being that way on a day-to-day basis more and more now.
Oh, gosh. Well, you're the best Justice Twin ever, and it's just awesome to be able to encourage us and share different things to keep us on our path in the highest levels. The most important thing, I think, is people recognize their own negative ego, because it can sabotage relationships, destroy our health, and create catastrophes in our own life. And this is really what we're being conditioned to pay more attention to than our connection with our higher self. And that's what we see in the media. That's what we see in how there's false flags, throwing us into a state of fear and panic. And I wouldn't even say that's negative ego. That's, reaction. But the negative ego has been taught to us. And everything about the archetypal disharmonies are things that we've inherited. So we can't look outside of ourselves and say, they need to figure it out and we need a savior to come. We need to understand that we've inherited all these archetypal patternings, and it's up to us to create archetypal harmony within ourselves and then send that energy back out. That's how actually we redeem Lucifer. And the Christ consciousness and the Sophia energy are connected to Venus, and it redeems the fallen Lucifer that is also connected to Venus. One more thing that is important to understand is that they have advanced technologies like time travel and teleportation. And they are not being used to protect us at all or help those in need. And they're certainly not being used to clean up the environment. Instead, they are being used for black budget projects that use millions of lives and millions of our tax dollars. For some, the use of these is for our defense, but with all the criminal activity and infiltration that has happened, secrecy isn't serving anyone, and we need to get all of this exposed and disclosed so that we can get it in the right hands. And Madison and I, really feel that another strong solution, and, we're definitely, higher dimensional beings, but making more contact with our star family and star families and finding our soul family here, but, connecting with what's going on in inner Earth and connecting with the benevolent higher dimensional beings in our cosmos and asking them for assistance. They will assist us if we ask. And we're also interested in disclosure. And so, as much as we do this in our own lives, it's time to just push it forward and kick it up a notch to really address all these matters and to get really in preparation for more contact that doesn't have to do with ET government treaties and a transhumanism agenda that's going to put us in the most horrible future that where our soul is basically not even there. And, really work with these higher dimensional beings and, empower the human race as leaders. And let's just deal with it on our own. Contact, these higher beings, gather and unify the human race. And whatever with the government, they can go do their own thing because it's time that they're starved. And it's a parasitic system, and they've been working with negative ETs. Actually, the treaties began in 1926, or actually, the first agreement was in 1933, so far earlier than Eisenhower, which there's a lot of rumors about.
Wow, you are so in-depth with this. I can't wait to continue chatting with you about these subjects and releasing videos. I'm always blown away by what you're sharing. It's so crazy and awesome, and I just want to reiterate how important it is, our mission of connecting with more benevolent beings inside the earth, because they are, there's talk that they've been trying to contact us for a while so that we can stop the war games and the blowing up and thinking that it's not affecting anyone else, because it is affecting other people, and we've been shut off from the beings inside the planet because of our violence and aggression. And if we can start practicing what Laura described earlier on a day-to-day basis, we can get that much closer to really having contact with galactic beings and stepping into a multi-dimensional future, present now.
So awesome. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, there's really, a theme right now about, siphoning energy, harvesting, souls, and, basically using our vital energies. And the Greys and this alien agenda wants to use this from us to create a soul matrix for themselves because they, like I said, lost connection with Source. And the more we learn about the negative ET agenda and not look at it from a fear-based perspective, but look at it from the perspective of recognizing something in our bodies that needs healing, and so we need to amp up the immune system, which is stepping up in our own lives and reaching out for things that are going to assist. They've got nothing on us, but I really recommend that everybody gets themselves checked out to see if they have implants and to do implant removal, because you certainly don't want to be a weapon and harm anybody, harm yourself or harm the environment, and be captured by this negative alien agenda. It's very difficult to get one's soul back out. And these aren't the times to be enslaved. It's the times we're in now is to expand. No matter how much they've been planning this agenda, we've been preparing for thousands of years too to keep this from happening. And thank you so much for joining us. Really looking forward to just all the stuff that we're going to put out. And these are exciting times. And so no matter what we share that might feel fear-based, there's nothing but that being a catalyst for us to really wake up our true potential that we have barely even, seen in these lifetimes, in these more recent incarnations. And, it's going to be amazing. So get excited about it. You have to want it and long for it to happen. If you don't have that, it's just, it's that much more difficult. And we have potentials, and there's a beautiful future waiting, and you got to want it. And this one is not cutting it. So get excited, get yourself checked, and let's unify and celebrate, because we're not needing the doom and gloom feeling because of what we're seeing. It's about raising the vibration. So, Madison, any closing thoughts?
Last closing thoughts about raising your vibration. I am so excited, and I love hearing you talk like this, because I'm so ready for it to happen. I'm so ready for people to realize their potential and start taking their place on the galactic stage. I just want to bring up, if you haven't yet heard about Masaru Emoto's work with water and how to heal your water, I would really, really recommend checking it out, because that's one way to just instantly bring your vibration up, is recognizing that water's conscious, and every time you're drinking water, you can essentially recreate yourself and create your own vibration and send whatever message you want to yourself. So that would be my only closing statement. Thank you, Laura. This has been awesome. I can't wait to do more videos, and thank you everyone for tuning in and being here with us on this journey where we are going to unite and step into unity consciousness and bring a more magical galactic world to planet Earth.
Rocking it. Nice. Good night, or goodbye, excuse me. And take care, everybody.
Please subscribe to our channel. Justice Twins signing out.
And share it. And just really help us to build this so that we can all help each other. Blessings, and see you next time.